Hello folks, as promised I'm going to give you a shooting review of this firearm, the Glock 43X. Unfortunately, I was unable to have the 48 because it's on special order right now because it's on special order because I ordered the one with the Ameriglow sight, so it's going to take a little bit of time because it's on back order. I wanted to compare it with this regarding the sight radius, but in the meantime with this firearm I was very impressed, especially when you have a firearm of this size with a 3-inch barrel that can shoot very well at 12 yards, and I'll show you those targets in a moment. I've been carrying this appendix for the last few days, and sometimes you can forget that you're carrying this. It's unless your holster is rubbing up against you to remind you. Other than that, you can forget that you're carrying this because it's very, to me, it's pretty light and it's very thin and all the things that everybody else has been talking about with this firearm. One of the things I like about this is the grip. Now, I usually have firearms that or even my old Glock 27, it was a thicker grip, so I was used to that kind of hand purchase. But this is a little bit of a different grip because this is the only firearm I have that has this type of thin grip. So when shooting, I just had to adjust a little bit, not much, just a little bit, because when, like I said, I'm used to having a thicker firearm in the grip area, but because of the length of the handle here, because of that length, it gives you a full purchase. It also gives you the ability to, in my opinion, to shoot better because of the grip, the way the length of the grip is. Because if some of the other grips are real short and you might not have control. Funny thing, I saw a guy with a Glock 43 and he had several of the extended mags, and they were pretty cool because he had the ones with the blue, and another guy that was there also had one with red, and those were extensions to equal, let's say, the capacity of this one, because I believe the Glock 43 is, I forget how many rounds, 6 or 7 rounds or something of that nature, because I've never had one, never felt one before. And he checked mine out, and he's on the fence about getting this particular firearm because he's already invested the money with the longer mags with the extension that he has, so he's debating whether he should trade his in to get this particular model. He did, however, like the slide. He thought the slide was originally aftermarket thing, but he took a few shots with this and he really liked this firearm. So I don't know what he's going to do, but I think he really likes it. One thing that I will say is I call this the baby beaver tail, because this is it. Just having this up here, this gives you a good purchase, but also prevents the slide from coming back at your the back of your hand and cutting you. So that's a good feature that's there. I've heard of some people saying that they were cut by their slide when the slide comes back, or due to the serrations in the back. I normally shoot with my thumbs up. Like I usually have it with my thumb canted on the side, and that's because I try to avoid the slide release. So especially when I have my HKVP9, I usually have my thumb canted up a little bit, and the support hand to the side, depending on which firearm it is. And I also do that so I won't create a problem with a malfunction with my thumb rubbing up against the slide. But that's one of the reasons why I use that hand motion with my thumbs in that position, and like I said, to prevent from hitting the slide. Now on the 1911 is a different story because I have somewhere to rest that thumb. Let me show you some targets real quick, and this was actually one of the first shots that I fired. I believe this was roughly at 10 yards. As you see here, I'm just trying to feel around for this. It's sporadic. I didn't like actually my first two shots were here, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing wrong, or whether the sights were off? It was not the sights, it was me. These 6 out here, I call myself shooting rapid fire with this, and I went sporadically all around in this area. But these are the shots before I did that, and I was lucky enough to have these shots within the 9 ring, which that's what my main goal is when I'm shooting this type of target. Another part is I'm just trying to aim and get a good shots over in the head area. As you see, I went off in this area here and here, but I'm just trying to tighten it up. The second target is going to be this one. Actually, this was the first. No, I think that the other one was the first. But actually, I was sending this target out to 12 to 15 yards. These were at 15, and I said, let me bring it in closer, and then shot at 12 because it is a 3-inch barrel. Because realistically, for combat measures, when you're using this firearm with 3-inch barrel, you want to at least have this as a no more than really realistically 7 yards actually. And here again, this is at 12 yards. I took my time and I did my shots here, and I seem to be bringing them low, but I'm just trying to get this right back in the 9 ring. But all in all, I think that this firearm is a pretty good firearm for the purpose that it does. You know, it's easy to shoot. It's you could gain target acquisition very well. I don't have my 7-yard shots, but my 7-yard shots were just basically more like the 9 ring. My 7-yard shots were great, but I wanted to expand that out to, let's say, 10 to 15 yards, and I did pretty fair on that. Like I said earlier about carrying this, it's a good firearm to carry. I have no qualms with it. Like I said, you can forget. I was sitting with this, not only driving, but I was sitting for long periods of time, and I did not feel uncomfortable in the bit. Matter of fact, I was talking with a guy at the Rage, and he wanted a rail here, but I don't see a need for a rail on this. This is kind of like up and close and personal, and I want to get out of Dodge type of firearms to me. But it feels like it's more that you could use this like an offensive weapon because the way the grip is. I like the color. I like everything about it. I wish it did have some type of dot sights, but like in my previous video, I did say that I'm so used to these sights, it didn't make a difference. I suggest if anybody wants to have this particular firearm, or if this is going to be your first purchase of a firearm, 10 rounds is acceptable. 10 plus 1 is acceptable for a defensive firearm, I think, especially I'm used to carrying 1911s as well. And for a person to have this as a first, let's say, first gun for personal protection, something for the range, something for home protection, this would be a pretty decent choice, because later on, once a new person is in shoots it, they will be able to conceal carry this. Too many times, a lot of people buy firearms that are either too big and they can't conceal it, and then when they get that their carry permit, they not able to carry it. This is the happy medium between that. It gives you the full purchase of a hand, and it gives you the concealability. Well, that's all I have on this firearm. I'm hoping to get the 48 soon, and give you a review and a comparison, but who knows when that's going to happen. So all I have to say is happy shooting, folks. #2A.